first off, I wanted to just start by saying thank you so much for having me here, especially virtually. I know we are living through quite some, difficult times right now. So I do really appreciate Karl and Peter for being able to put this together over Teams and for inviting me to speak to you all today. And for those who do not know, my name is Ebo Quansah, and I am the product lead for Microsoft Access and a PM for additional Office platform initiatives. I've been in the role for almost about a year now, replacing McCall Barr, who I'm sure a lot of you may have met at the previous DevCon in Vienna last year. And I can say happily that this new role has been nothing short of a blast. My already strong love for the product has continued to grow, and it's been amazing to speak with so many customers to not only educate them about what's new in Access and about our vision moving forward, but to also have them educate me about their experience with the tool, things that work and things that don't, and to listen and internalize all that constructive feedback. So I really appreciate that, and we'll get started. So with that, I'd like to first start by saying thank you, and I truly cannot emphasize this enough, as I just said in the last slide, because I'm already sure that all the work and feedback that you provided for this product is insurmountable and incomparable across Office. Believe it or not, Access, a 27-year-old product, is still so important to Microsoft. And I was brought into this role recently because Access is also very important to me. So we really appreciate all of you for helping us make this product effective and for letting it be known that your success is important to our success. So with that, please keep telling us what we at Microsoft can do to drive this product to the next level. Okay, so on the agenda for today, because we strictly abide by the One Microsoft theme and are very unified in the way we present ourselves and work with each other, I think it's important to remind you of what our mission means at Microsoft today, as that has been constantly evolving over the years. And then from there, I'll jump immediately into Access, discussing its relevance to the Microsoft mission and the product in our worldwide ecosystem today. Then I'll cover what's new in Access, our retirement of web apps, and our short and long-term vision and roadmap. And then from there, I'll touch a little bit on how to stay engaged and some examples of really great community events that has happened in the past year. And I do not expect this all to take a full 50 minutes, hopefully. So I'm hoping to leave some time for Q&A once we get to the end. All right, so our mission, to empower every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. This is essentially the North Star in everything we do, every Access choice we make, and how we show up and communicate with our customers like you all. When we talk about empowering people, we simply mean that with the right tools and Access, any of you can really achieve your biggest goals worldwide, regardless of the scope. And so a culture founded in growth mindset is what's most important to the team and to our customers, honestly, and especially to me. So obsessing over what matters to our customers, becoming more diverse and inclusive in everything we do and create, operating as one company, and making a difference to the lives of each other and our customers and the world around us is a dialogue that we are consistently reminded of at Microsoft today. And this especially applies to Access. So, super brief intro. I'm happy to dive right into Access. Okay, so now since we're hopefully aligned on kind of the company-wide mission from a high level, I'm happy to talk a little bit about kind of what Access is in our ecosystem today. You're all great experts, so I will not humor you too much on redefining the product itself. But the key here is the first bullet is that Access is mission critical, meaning it enables people like you and several other users out there to create apps that are critical to their business objectives quickly and easily, whether that involves building several apps on top of each other, using VBA code to build more complex macros, or just building a quick query that captures relationships between two simple tables. There are so many different ways to solve business needs in Access, and that's what makes it so incomparable to other products. Something that we couldn't be happier to share about Access today is that it is used by 95% of our Fortune 500 companies. And that's also based off of the work and applications that you have been building. So the way that you've all contributed to this usage metric is very eye-opening, and we're really looking forward to continue progressing on that growth. We also all know that Access is deeply wired across companies, where the utilization of Access is independent of the size and of the organization that it's used by. Even if it's brought by a large or a small company or an individual consumer, it is still absolutely and readily used at any and all costs. And second to last, it's a sticky product because even though it's been more and more integrated into the Office 365 world recently, it'd still be very successful with a strong user base as it is today, even if it was left as its own product to purchase within the Office platform. And then finally, as you should hopefully know, and I'll continue to showcase more in a bit, Access is not dead, and that is incredibly important. Every single day, millions of active users, including you all, are using a variety of Access apps to solve problems and to support business ops. And that's data that we as an Access team have and that I absolutely have access to and are also able to report to you all today. And that's a huge impact, much bigger than you may think, because the widespread use of Access to empower businesses to make some of the most cost-effective solutions has surpassed actually any additional attempts to build tools that address the level of need for rapid application development, or RAD, that Access does. And so the team, and I can speak to this, has continued to work quite hard to push features to the public, and I'm excited to share some of that with you all today. Yet there's even more that's going on behind the scenes that are still a little bit under NDA and internal, and therefore I cannot share that with you at this time, but just know that my team is working tirelessly to respond to your feedback, meet your needs, and to keep the product alive. Okay, so what's the vision of Access? What are our priorities and where are we going? The first and foremost priority is focus on customer satisfaction. And that encompasses making sure that the product is stable and reliable, which I'll spend quite a bit of time talking about in a few slides, as I know that this has been a concern for many of you today. Pardon the phone ringing behind me. But that also includes us responding to the feedback that you send, whether that's on building new features in response to requests you send through Access user voice or other mediums, support questions that you report within the tool, or questions and concerns that you report through various distribution lists and work through with your Access community leaders. All of this is important to us in making sure that your experience with Access is exceptional. The second priority there is cloud connectivity, where especially during the retirement of web apps, which I'll also cover soon, getting your Access data and then applications into the cloud, and also the phone and tablets, is actually one of the most important missions of me and the team today. We understand that not having this capability causes a ton of frustration and concern with the long-standing use of the product. And so we're dedicating a lot of discussions and time to better integrate Access with other products in Microsoft to essentially enable that capability. That said, from the data in the cloud specific lens, we have been able to do some great work with SQL to ensure that your data is not only successfully migrated onto and used well with SQL, but to also make sure that data is uploaded onto SQL Azure, can be properly integrated and shared in the cloud today. And don't get me wrong, there is a lot more work that's actually in scope today and in the future to ensure that your connection to SQL continues to become as close to seamless as possible. But that is definitely, that first step that we're really making to ensure that integration with other Microsoft products will enable us to achieve our cloud connectivity goal. Final piece is community, where, of course, being present at events like today, remaining engaged online through forums like the tech community page and through blog posts, and offering a series of resources and help content through our support and docs.microsoft pages is very important for us to help you successfully create your apps and projects in a very effective manner. And I also have a whole section focused on the community stuff today, so we'll be diving deeper into that as well. Okay, so with those priorities, I am happy to dive into what's new and in the pipeline for Access today. First, we understand the importance of a successful querying experience in Access, so we've been wanting to improve this all for you today. So to help drive your productivity level of query-based editing, we've made our first round of enhancements based on your feedback that we hope will improve your experience in the app. And if you are in Office 365, you should already see these improvements in your systems today. And so what I decided to do is, instead of kind of reading off this list, I figured I'd rather just show you these great capabilities in Access now by doing a quick demo. I'll try to keep this short and sweet, but give me a second so I can share my Access database with you. Second. Okay, let me know if you can see, if someone can confirm.
Yes, now.
Excellent. Okay, I'll make this quick. So right now I'm in design view, and if I like to scroll, I can simply do so now with my mouse wheel, either vertically, as you can see here, or you can scroll horizontally if I were to hold the shift key and keep scrolling down to move right and scroll up to move left. So simple, quick. We have also implemented a SQL find and replace dialog. So if I were to go to SQL text, I can either hit the find icon here or Control F, and I can essentially just type in any sort of word that I like to find. Or I can replace it, which I won't do now because I know that'll mess something up. But you'll have the option to do that as well in SQL. If I were to go back to design view, we also have new right-click options, including the ability to immediately open your specific table in design view. So I'm just going to do that really quick right here, and you'll be able to view that in design view. You can also click it to auto size. So if I were to right-click invoices and I wanted to size to fit, that automatically does that for me as well. Now, if you want to size your tables quicker, which I think a lot of you might want to do, you can also just double-click. You can double-click the right edge for a horizontal auto size. Yep, so like that. You can do that on the bottom for vertical auto size like this. Or if you want to auto size both at the same exact time, like I did for right click, you just double click this bottom corner here and I'll do that for you. Finally, if you want to multi-select a table, you can hold the control button plus click whatever tables you have to have them all selected. So I'm holding control and I can click, or I could just box select. So I click the corner, drag my mouse, and I can box select a certain number of tables. And then you can, perform whatever actions you want in them. Like if I wanted to move all of them around, if I wanted to size to fit all of them, I can right click, hit size to fit, and it'll do all of that for me immediately. So just a couple kind of quick fun things that you can do in your career experience now to hopefully help you better your career experience today. This is just the start though. We already have plans in our backlog for our next iteration of improvements in the coming quarters, including the ability to zoom in and zoom out of a desktop window. We're going to work on implementing comment support in SQL, which I know a lot of you have asked about. We have also put in the Monaco editor into our backlog, and there's a lot more. So I know how important this is to you, and I hear a lot of feedback on this. So I'm working on making sure that we can really action these items and make this as seamless as possible for you all today. All right, let me go back to my PowerPoint. And hopefully we'll have time for questions on that at the end. Okay. Okay, just a quick confirmation check on my slide.
We see the slide.
Perfect. Okay, so as you know, you've needed to install the ACE redistributable engine to expose ACE outside of the Office ecosystem. But now with Office 365 or click to run versions of Access 2016 or 2019 consumer installed, you will no longer need to install the Redis to use your OLEDB provider today. And that will help you enable previously unsupported scenarios like connecting Power BI to custom apps to Office data. We will soon be establishing this support for our DAO and ODBC interfaces as well, and I'm happy to provide a little bit more clarity on that later on. Getting this support will be very beneficial as well, given that you will no longer need a complete MSI Office install to use the SQL Server Migration Assistant or SSMA. And you'll also no longer need to build data source names to retrieve ACE data within an Office app. So establishing proper support for these scenarios will be coming very soon. It's also important to call out for the above two bullets that you see there, that establishing support for these scenarios is critical, given that 2016 will be the last version of the ACE Redis engine. So once we have the proper support in place, installing the Redis will not be necessary if you already have a click-to-run version of Office installed, or if you have the Office 365 runtime. The runtime is also distributable and does not require a license. So this way you can redistribute apps that rely on new features added to your O365 versions moving forward. And you can feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that these solutions will continue to be maintained, especially as earlier versions of the Redis go out of support. I know that's a lot of information. So if you have questions on this, please send an in-product help message or a user voice request, and my team will be happy to assist you. Okay, so the Add Tables Task Pane. This is a new kind of fun feature that's coming to production very soon, and that is known as the Add Tables Task Pane, or ATTP, which can also actually help your query experience as well. That said, if you are on Insiders, you should have already seen this feature successfully landing into your Insiders channel. So for those on those channel, please give this feature a test, and I can also provide a little bit more context into how to join Insiders at the end of the session. But essentially, what this is, it's an additional method of enhancing your experience through replacing our old show tables dialog for queries and for our relationship view. And with this comes capabilities like multi-selecting tables, a new links tab, which you can see in the screenshot on the right, a search box, as well as drag and drop. So just some really great parts of this development that we're excited to get into your hands within the next month. And so you'll be seeing that very soon. Stay tuned. Okay, so very soon we will also be introducing a new and improved data type to enhance our syntax compatibility and integration with SQL, while also increasing the accuracy and level of detail in records that include dates and times. We are implementing a new date-time extended data type into Access. This will be equivalent to SQL DATETIMES2's data type, but with a more user-intuitive name as DATETIME extended in Access. And with this type, this will support 3 components, including remote table support, where you can link data with this type from remote SQL tables, local table support, where you can use the type in your Access databases, and our new and improved expression support, where you can essentially perform many different calculations on the type itself. So this is actually huge for us as we continue to push on our integration with SQL. This is something that we've dedicated a lot of time to developing. So developing a new data type that can be readily used from Access to and from SQL will definitely help drive this goal. But that is not all. While you may have already heard of some of these, we have continued to make improvements to them and finalize this work earlier last year, including our modernized tabs, which is a huge visual and user-friendly enhancement, and our Office-wide account manager update, which shows you Office 365 work and personal accounts all in one unified place, and also lets you switch between them quite easily. So that is really exciting. And then finally, just to recap on zooming, you are still able to zoom for more room with Shift F2 within a record, where you can then adjust the font size, the font type, and the style in each individual cell. So this is just some great stuff that I wanted to just drive to your attention now in case you are not aware of this yet. And we want to make sure we're also just always ensuring your awareness of your own developments, of our own developments, as well as for your interactions with other customers as well. So web apps, shifting gears a little bit in mood. As I'm sure you know, Access web apps have been retired from SharePoint Online in April 2018. And we have also recently retired our older 2010 version of web apps, leveraging similar retirement momentum from 2013. From an awareness and a readiness perspective, we have communicated out multiple message center posts to our customers over the past few years about this, and have made sure that everyone is well aware and prepared for this new retirement ahead of time. That being said, for those who do have, an existing 2010 web application today, upon accessing your web database, you will be redirected to the page on the top right that you see there, and save it as a local database on your desktop. Make sure to appropriately follow the steps as noted in that screenshot if you haven't already, and I can send Karl, any of you, this post after the presentation for more clarity if you would like so. By next month, though, You will be blocked from accessing your web database at all, including the ability to download it, just due to SharePoint and Access Protocol. So please make sure that you take the time to download and save an offline version by the middle of next month. If you or any customers you work with run into any issues with this, please inform the Access team as soon as possible. Like I said, you can submit in-product feedback, let one of our MVPs know, or you can even submit a feature request related to this on our user voice site if you wish to do so, and we will review. Okay, so one thing I want to make clear is that accessibility is a huge deal for us at Microsoft and in Access, as you've seen in some of our improvements above, but we still have a ton of work to do. Our goal is far from being reached, and we are doing our best to meet the needs of our customers across the globe. So please keep your feedback on this coming as well, as we want to make the product as accessible and as user-friendly as possible. And we will make sure we devote the appropriate time and the appropriate efforts to help bridge that gap. So switching gears a little bit, some of you might be asking, well, I don't see some of the features that you're talking about. Where are they? And that's why I like to quickly discuss how Offer is delivered now, and I'll keep this brief. But this is important because most of our features that are currently present and shipped are existing in Office 365 today, or most of our recent features. Everything that we ship for Office 365, which is subscription-based, is updated on a more regular cadence, whether that's monthly or there are certain instances as an enterprise customer where you can opt for less frequent or semi-annual updates as well. So in the subscription case on the left, any recent investments and changes that we make within Office 365 will very quickly reflect into your systems. Versus on the right, this kind of license is effective when time comes to ship a new perpetual version, like we did for Access 2019. And this typically is recurring every 3 years. But in this case, we essentially bundle all of our new features together that you already might have seen in Office 365 and sell that new version as a perpetual license. And some of you might say, well, I don't know what version I have. How can I check? It's actually quite simple. Just check the splash screen, which will show you whether you have Office 365 subscription version, like in this example, or rather one of the perpetual versions, depending on your activated license year. Or you can just go to your product info, which will show you the license information, the update label and channel, the build number, as well as the deployment tech, which you can see there. But again, because we're continuing to grow and we've been in a more consistent process of improving upon your feedback, you can have the opportunity to see these new developments much quicker on a subscription basis in Office 365 instead of having to wait until 2022 for the new version of Access. And that's exactly what I would encourage. So we've talked a little bit about kind of what's coming soon and what we've been shipping recently, but I'd like to spend some time talking a little bit more about what's top of mind for us and what's in our feature backlog moving forward. So a huge part of our mission moving forward is to successfully maintain the product as it stands today. We are fully aware of our bugs and our recent regressions, and we understand the impact that they have placed on your businesses. So with that, a successful and seamless user experience is our absolute top priority. And just for some clarity, once we receive notifications from any of our customers about any sort of significant regressions, or blockers in their database, which at times may not necessarily even be specifically caused by the Access team, but can be impacted by changes that have happened in Office All Up or in Windows, which then impacts us. My team investigates these problems right away. And just for a little bit more tiny insight without providing too much internal information, when we make the appropriate security fixes in certain versions of Access, those changes can unfortunately result in some additional regressions depending on the version that you are on. And if you are on an older Office channel like Access for Office 2003 or 2006, there is a chance that our older tools that drive some older builds may not properly address and fix issues in those versions of Access, which is why we push so much to get onto more updated versions. That being said, while of course new features and more up-to-date changes can obviously also come with new problems, we are able to use our most up-to-date tools to better anticipate and essentially block those problems from significantly impacting your system. That being said, while I unfortunately cannot provide specific context on the internal working changes to our systems that we are making to enhance our user experience today, as much as I'd love to, we are doing a lot more work to anticipate and more efficiently tackle potential problems that may arise in the tool before it even gets to your hands, and then subsequently mitigate these problems moving forward. So all that being said, we really do get it, because the last thing that we want and that I want is for you to not be able to accomplish the work that you were supposed to do throughout a day, a week, or even months. So we absolutely understand how frustrating that may feel. And with the improved work that we have spanned for the next few months, we're very confident that your apps will be better protected and you will encounter fewer problems moving forward. Now, onto the infamous Access Graph connector. And first, for anyone who may not be fully aware of what Graph is, Microsoft Graph is essentially a unified gateway to all the data and intelligence that is housed in our intelligent cloud, which can then plug into a wealth of your company-wide information like users, your groups, messages, your contacts, conversations, and so much more. The objective of this is to ease your pain of needing to integrate with Microsoft services one at a time to create and retrieve the information that you're looking for. So with that, I know we have talked about the Graph connector for a while now, and I know there has been a lot of conversations about, where is it and why is it still not in your hands today? And just so we're clear, the Graph connector is still incredibly important to us. It's one of those big bridges between the intelligent cloud and the intelligent edge, as I said, as it pertains to access today. So our reasoning behind the delay of releasing this is because of the security, privacy, transparency, and compliance requirements that we have needed to essentially revisit, pull back, and then redesign in order to make sure that those requirements are properly met. We absolutely have to make sure that users and organizations have proper control over how applications have been able to access and therefore consume data in the graph, and that those same users and their corresponding apps have the proper opportunity to consent to graph with the ability to access their data. So all that being said, this is something that we're continuing to work on with the team, the graph team especially, as well as additional core engineering teams at Microsoft to help us meet these requirements. But there's still work that needs to be done that especially revolve around privately and securely authenticating users against Microsoft Graph today. And I know, again, because this has been talked about for a while, I know this may seem a bit frustrating to you guys, and it's absolutely been for us as well. But there is a lot more work than we originally scoped for and we originally thought of. And because of that, it's not ready to go yet. That said, we are certainly getting closer. And once this is fully ready to go, which will take place after our reliability push, which I just talked about, you will absolutely know about it from me and from my team. So what else is in our pipeline? A huge part of our mission moving forward is not only to successfully maintain the product today, but to also modernize and improve our user experience and UI capabilities, both within the product and through stronger integration with other products as well. And so with that, following a successful and seamless user experience and finalizing the plan for our Graph connector, we'd also like to enable 32-bit access to address 4 gigabytes of memory. In other words, to make access large address aware, which is especially useful when performing several different actions in an app, like, for example, creating apps with a lot of complex forms, batch exporting reports as PDF files, and so much more. So there will definitely be some focus on making that happen for you all in the near future. Our current web browser control defaults to an older version of Internet Explorer, so we are aiming to modernize this by building a new browser control to a version that will support our new Chromium Edge. But this work will be in addition, as our existing IE or Internet Explorer supported web browser control will still remain in access, especially to not break any existing apps or functionalities. So that's important. We will have 2 web browser controls, one to support Internet Explorer and the new one to support our new Microsoft Chromium Edge. And then following the control, we would like to embed a Monaco editor, as I briefly talked about, into Access, which will help provide support for actions like syntax highlighting, autocomplete, and so much more. But there will be a lot more research and a lot more investigation to be done with this one. So once we have more of that in scope, you'll hear about that from me later down the line. And I'll able to, address a little bit more specific questions. But that's the information that I have for you today regarding the Monaco editor. Then from there, we'd still like to continue making improvements to our existing tools by modernizing and implementing new controls and making improvements to our modern charts, as there's definitely been some feedback and work that we've heard from you and are planning to tackle on that end. And then, like I mentioned before, we will have our next round of query improvements, and we'll also make some additional changes to our linked table manager. So a lot of these items in the pipeline are based off of what we hear from you and your feedback through user voice, through the tool, through emails, distribution lists, and so much more. So we really take your insights very, very seriously and have been happy to bring some of these suggestions to light today. But again, if you do have more thoughts or concerns on our roadmap, you know what to do. Okay, so I hope that provided some clarity and context into what's going on in Access today and what we are expecting down the line. But I now want to switch gears a little bit and talk about your feedback, our priorities in terms of engagement, and recent events that have involved the Access team. I think I'm okay on time. So as always, we appreciate your feedback, and there are several ways to send yours on the product, whether that's on user voice at the top, which gives you the opportunity to express your thoughts and concerns for us to review and develop new capabilities and features for. Within the actual app on the left, where you can then go to the help button, submit feedback, and contact our support team. You can also see the nice little smiley at the top right too, which is another quick way for you to tell us what you like or do not like and to give suggestions on that. Or you can go to our Access Tech community page shown on the bottom, where we can have open dialogues about what's going on in our world and for you to submit questions that you have in mind. And then finally, if you want to provide feedback on our help and support content, you can do that as well on the right. So with that said, one of the most important missions for Access and for me as a product manager is to ensure that the voices of you all are heard and that you are all aware of the many developments and improvements that we are making in the product. So that is by the methods that I've explained just previously, and also by developing stronger customer connections with you all through being more involved in various visits, interviews, group sessions, and Access conferences like today. So the Access team has had an awesome opportunity to participate and even occasionally help organize a variety of community-driven events, and we aim to continue to participate and hopefully help eventually host more events essentially on our own platform moving forward. That said, I just wanted to quickly highlight just a few of the awesome conventions and speaker sessions that the Access team has been involved in throughout this past year, to also shed some light into some events that you could potentially join and become more involved in moving forward. So this NISO introduction, we of course had our wonderful DevCon a year ago from now, which Michal, our previous PM, was able to attend in person to give you a rundown of what's going on in Access and in the community. That said, I'm again really thankful, that we are able to have a virtual version of the convention today and tomorrow, which absolutely highlights the energy and the passion that the community has in driving and promoting Access awareness. So it's super wonderful to see this happening again this year. We had our DAAUG session, and for those who do not know, the Denver area Access user group does quite some great work with Access and helps keep our customers up to date while developing their own tools. So in August of last year, one of the developers and myself both presented virtually during a community session, and we really appreciated the different folks' feedback and insight into our work. I believe this is scoped to be a virtual event again this year, and I think that might happen again around the August time, but you'll hear more about that later down the line. We had our Netherlands Access Developers Day, which was organized by two amazing experts, Daniel Polak and Laura Siemens. And this event actually just started in 2018 with its second event last year, where my lead actually attended to present for the Access community. And on both times, we've gotten some really amazing feedback on this event, which will ensure us to continue with this endeavor going forward. And we have discussed the plan to have this take place again this year, but it is still on the fence depending on how COVID-19 progresses. So please stay tuned for more information on that. Our Access Lunchtime webinar stems from our Access User Groups organization, founded by Juan Soto and Ben Clothier, but includes monthly webinars that have been led by our very own MVP, Maria Barnes, where on the last Tuesday of every month, the group hosts a free 1-hour webinar and invites a variety of speakers to come present. Last year in September, I had the awesome opportunity to present to those on the webinar and really appreciated hearing insight from various folks online. And if you have not had a chance to do so yet, I strongly recommend you to visit the site and potentially join some of these great events throughout the year. And then second to last, we also had our Portland Access User Group, where one of our Access developers attended and provided you with updates and some insightful demos. This has always been a renowned and great event organized by Jack, one of our Access MVPs, and is based in Portland, Oregon. So I know this is tentatively scoped for our October this year, from what I understand. But again, we will see how things progress. And of course, we had our AEK, which took place in both Nuremberg and Hanover, Germany this past October, with over 175 attendees, from what I heard, which is fantastic. And for this, the Access team was able to denote what we here call Access swag, which essentially is Microsoft Access apparel and merchandise to our users and attendees at the Hanover session. So that's another fun thing that, my team loves to do from out here in Redmond. But if you have not received any Access merchandise yet, please do not worry. I plan to continue providing that for a lot more sessions moving forward. And maybe if things calm down by the same time later this year, I'll be able to provide you with some more swag at that time. And then finally, we had our annual Access MVP Summit just last month, where due to circumstances was held virtually over Microsoft Teams, similar to what we are doing today. Before this, we had a great turnout with quite an engaged MVP audience. And luckily, the technicalities behind Microsoft Teams and making sure that the presenters were audible with visible content worked quite well. And as I'm sure you know, just to provide a little bit of quick insight, MVPs are most valuable professionals, and they're also known as community leaders and often technology experts who help provide constructive and actionable feedback and participate in several leader and or speaker sessions. So if you are interested in learning more about the MVP program, please don't hesitate to reach out to one of our MVPs today or visit mvp.microsoft.com for more information on the structure and on how to potentially apply to become one yourself. So that's just to name a few of our amazing Access events. There have been so many more awesome events in these past years that I'm sure a lot of you are aware of and have even had the opportunity to attend. And I'd love to go through all of them, but that will unfortunately leave us here until the end of the day. So with all that said, we still have a whole lot of work to do. And I'm currently working with some folks on trying to open up more Access user group sessions and conferences across our globe, as there are several more locations around the world that we believe can receive more Access attention. So I'll be working closely with our new marketing counterparts as well to make sure that this happens timely so that Access gets the worldwide attention that it deserves. So again, please continue to stay in touch with us as we appreciate your feedback and we want to hear more. This is so important because we really listen, learn from, and respond to your thoughts and suggestions. So please keep them coming. And if you would like to, become more informed about some of the work we are doing, please join Office Insiders to be more in the loop about what's in store. Through Insiders, I will be posting more regularly about certain feature ideas and requests that we are currently in the process of shipping. And we'll even give some kind of sneak peeks into what is coming next. And so for that, all you have to do is go to office.com/insider to join the program. You can tweet us at Office Insider, or you can become a part of the community through the aka.ms/Office Insider community website. So that is everything. I know I'm a little bit short on time for questions, but I'm happy to maybe check the chat really quick to see if there's anything in there.
Ebo, I collected some questions I can pose to you.
Okay,
Let's go. The first one would be from Klaus Oberdalhoff with many likes. If looking at schools, why isn't Access part of the 365 A1 offer for schools? It would be important to have it at the young people.
Yes, and that is feedback that I have given a lot to our Office ecosystem. Access and education, unfortunately, is not at the level that it should be as we look at other Office products. And I think this is essentially work that I have been talking a lot with our marketing counterpart on, because just speaking personally, we have never been, taught about Access in school. And so I think Microsoft on that projection thinks that, there has not been necessarily a push to include that on the E1 for Education suites. But, there is still definitely
keep pressing.
Yeah, there's still definitely work that we need to do. So.
Next one would be, please give us a JSON object.
Yeah.
What about that?
JSON objects is in our backlog, our JSON library specifically. We've heard feedback on that, and I know that Joe had also received feedback from the Portland user group session. In terms of the items on the backlog, we have that a little bit lower. But I'd be curious to hear any kind of more feedback or more customer scenarios of why you think that might be more important than some of our other items. So again, user voice, submitting any emails to us would be really helpful.
Next one, how about older versions? Provide better support for Office 2013 and so on. Do you have the possibilities to support older versions, or are you completely focusing on Office 365?
No, I mean, we are absolutely still supporting. So I think support is kind of a tricky word here. So we do support all Access versions. The features that you see more recently that I have talked about are the ones that are going to Office 365, but that does not mean that we are still, tackling any bugs or regressions or any problems in older versions. But there's a Microsoft Office policy where older than 10-year versions of Office does not get supported from a security lens. So if you're on a version older than Access 2010, that is not securely supported today, unfortunately, just due to Microsoft policy and protocol.
Okay, next one. How about getting the SQL text formatted in the editor? Wouldn't that be in the direction of the Monaco editor that's already in the pipeline?
Yeah. So that'll be in that same direction. And once we dive deeper into the Monaco editor, that's something that we already have scoped for that.
Okay, then there are small changes, more changes in the relations window. For example, auto-arrange the tables or hinder them to overlap. So small changes again for relationship and query, like you did it already. Are you planning to do more of that kind of work?
Yeah, so on our roadmap, we have a second version of query improvements that will be coming into our backlog within the next few months. So if you have suggestions, I would very, very strongly recommend you to submit them into user voice, because that's how we're really going to internalize kind of new feature requests when it comes to that. But did I hear correctly? You said you don't want tables overlapped? Was that the feedback?
If there is already a possibility, or is it not yet included?
Right now, that is not included, but we can look deeper into maybe having that be one of the options there.
Kind of better order arrange.
Yeah. That's fair.
Okay, next one would be, something I hear and read often, adding a Zoom feature in Forms. Have you ever heard that?
Yes. So actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because without too much internal information, that's actually something we're already working on now. One of our engineers has already started that work. So you should hopefully see that within the next month or two.
Very good. Sounds very good. Several questions about the leasing bug, the inconsistency bug. If there is a time plan, because we are suffering since 2 years, as you know.
Yeah, the inconsistency bug has been going on for a while, and Shane, our lead developer, is aware of that. This has been some work that he's needed to spend a lot more time than anticipated on. He's expecting a fix in the next couple of months. I don't want to, give out a date just because things might change, but he's seeing something that will hopefully resolve in some sort of a fix on that specific bug in the next few months. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, then we have, is the Access MVP program downsizing as it seems in your view?
No, great question. And I'm not, the MVP, community lead on that. But when I did ask her about that, she mentioned that it's not in general. In Access specifically, the program isn't declining. I mean, I know you might see kind of fewer MVPs today that you might have seen 5-10 years ago. That does not come from Microsoft, thinking that we want to scope this down. That just specifically comes from the reviews and making sure that MVPs are logging in their contributions and that the community leads are able to see those contributions. So if they're not seeing a lot of kind of contributions done and there's not a lot of kind of support or data points for them to say, okay, great, like this is the MVP that we want to renominate or that we want to bring into our platform, there's unfortunately not much more that we can do from that. But I try my hardest because I'm really passionate about it.
So the last one is from myself. How about distributing swag for this virtual conference? Quite difficult, isn't it? My suggestion would be a Corona mask with Access logo. So kind of that with an Access logo.
Yes. I mean, I'll just get everybody's individual addresses and have Corona masks sent to everyone if that's what they're looking for now. But I mean, that could be nice. And again, Access swag is huge for us. So hopefully once we can get everyone into kind of a conference in person, once things calm down, hopefully you can get more merchandise from there.
Okay, we're done. My clock says we're done. Very nice.
Okay.
Perfect time. Thank you, Ebo.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.